Join me as today we finish off issue number 10 of Eaglemoss Hero Collector's 1/8 scale Ecto-1. Hey everybody, Jason here of GhostbustersNews.com, and as always, Ghostbusters News right here on YouTube. And today, we are going to be finishing off issue number 10 of Eaglemoss Hero Collector's massive 1/8 scale Ecto-1. Now, as always, before we get into the build today, if you'd like to sign up for your very own Ecto-1 membership, your very own subscription, we've got links found right down below in the description. Click it, sign up today, and you'll have pieces of the Ecto-1 delivered right to your door, and you can start building this very, very beautiful piece. Now, if you couldn't tell, I'm pretty excited to be finishing off issue number 10. I believe today, this is actually adding the 4th and final tire to the Ecto, so that is a reason of celebration. So let's not waste any time. Let's go over to the build table right now. Okay, so we've moved over to the build table here, and once again today we're going to be finishing off issue number 10 of Eaglemoss Hero Collector's 1/8 scale Ecto-1 with stages 33 and 34. We've already done the left suspension, we've done the left wheel, the back wheel I should say. Today it's all about the right hand side, so at the end of today's video we're finally going to have 4 wheels on the Ecto-1. So let's go ahead and turn a few pages here once again. Yeah, stage 33 here. So let me go ahead and grab the pieces for today. I've actually already unboxed or unbagged stage 33. Let's go ahead and remove all the little screws here, and yeah, let's get to building today. And like I said, I'm pretty sure for the most part we've already constructed all this stuff before in our previous video when we did the left hand right, or I should say the left rear leaf spring, but we're going to continue today. Once again, we're doing the right hand side here. So our first step is number 1 here, fitting the shackles to the leaf spring. So let's go ahead and find said shackles here, and looks like we're going to be fastening the first piece here using some LM screws. So let me go ahead and find those. Oh, there you go, LM screws. And with that, both the LM screws are now in place there for that. Going on to figure B, we're going to be attaching the other shackle. And this one's a little different here because these pieces are separate. The other side, it was just one large piece. So for these 2 small pieces here, we're going to be attaching those using some PM screws. Okay, so we got that screw now in place. And yes, correction, it was actually only 1 PM screw that we needed to fasten those 2 shackles in place there. From there, we're going to move on over to stage number 2. Actually, sorry, I misspoke. Step number 2 of stage 33, assembling the shock absorber. And once again, this is kind of retreading what we've already done here. Put the little spring here in this piece, and then we grab this little guy here, which this little guy is the shock absorber upper mount, and we're going to be pushing it right in place here through the spring. All springy and such. We're going to fasten everything in place here using 1 BM screw. And there we go. Shock absorber is shock absorbing, and from there our next step here is going to be actually attaching it to the back end of the Ecto-1. So let me go ahead and bring in the Ecto here. Okay, so for the shock absorber, it goes in like a little hole right here. Now, for anybody that checked out my last video, I initially put the absorber in the wrong hole, like one that was like right next to it. So luckily, I'm not going to do that. I learned from my mistakes. So give me a second. Let me put this in place here, and we're going to screw it in place using 1 GM screw on the other side of the Ecto. Correction, not a GM screw, a QM screw. So give me a second, let me pop it in here. Shock absorber is in place, which brings us to step number 3, which is going to be fitting the leaf spring number 1. So we're going to take the leaf spring, which we've already pretty much constructed here, and yeah, we're going to put it in place much like we did it already on the left-hand side. Okay, so got a bit of a rough fitting there, and it looks like for our first step, yeah, figure A, we've already got that in place there. We're going to go ahead and grab this additional piece, which is the leaf spring clamp, and we're going to put it in place much like we did on the other side there. There's a couple little holes in here, fits right, there we go, into the grooves. And we're going to be securing these pieces together using 1 NM screw. Now that wasn't such a chore, now was it? So we got the NM screw in place. From there, we're going on to figure C, which means we have to flip the Ecto-1 around, and we're going to be further securing this in place. I think actually this piece right here, using 1 RM screw. Okay, so that RM screw is now in place. Let's go ahead and flip the page here. Moving on to step number 4, which is going to be fitting the leaf spring number 2, which it looks like our first line of attack is going to be attaching the leaf spring here to the shock absorber using one CM screw. So let me go ahead and get that done. Okay, so CM screw is now in place there, so we're looking good. So that is now all secure and yeah, really, really nice and tight. From there, we're going to be focusing in on the back of the leaf spring right here, and we're going to be running one PM screw through it. Okay, so we've got the PM screw now in place there. And after that, we're going to be fixing the right outlet pipe. Alright, so for this one here, we just put the little outlet pipe right through there, the tailpipe. And then we're going to secure that in place using one BM screw. Okay, so we got the BM screw now in place. That's looking nice and secure. Kind of secure. Actually, I understand why that's not secure right now, because I somehow skipped a step here. Part of Part 5, which was once again attaching this little guy right here, the right outlet pipe kind of holster there. There was actually a screw, one IP screw that's supposed to go on the other side of the Ecto-1 and secure this pipe into place, much like we already did on the left-hand side. So we got the IP screw now going in on the other side, and that brings step number 5 here to a close. Okay, so moving on here, we've got part number 6, which means we're getting to the end of stage 33 here. This next part is going to be fitting the hoses. And the first part here is going to be pushing the ends of the 2 brake fluid hose parts into the pins, which, if you remember from our last build video, we had a couple of hoses here just kind of dangling, left idle. So let's go ahead and secure those into place. So both hoses now in place there. Yeah, everything's looking good. I may go back and trim down some of those hoses. They do look a little long, but that can always be a job for another day. So moving on now, we've got figure B here, which figure B, let me find what they're saying. Push the right backing plate onto the rear axle so the hoses are facing the center of the car. So once again, if you missed the last video, this was the beginning of the last tire in this Ecto-1, so let's go ahead and yeah, fit everything in place here. Alright, so that's now in place there. Not really secure or anything, that's going to be in the next stage. From there, we're going to be running the 2 wires that we just had, the 2 hoses, the brake fluid hoses, into the oil pipe splitter. Okay, so we got both hoses now in place, and that brings us to the end of stage 33. As I said, the wheel here on the side isn't really secure or anything like that just yet, which means, well, that's going to happen in stage 34, which once again, this is going to be actually the build and construction of the final wheel of the Ecto-1, and it is only like 2 steps, so let's go ahead and let's finish off issue number 10, stage 34, right here, right now. Alright guys, so bringing in stage 34 here, once again, the final tire. So part 1 here is going to be assembling the wheel. Take the outer wheel, which is this big boy right here, and place it in the center of the right rear tire. Okay, so we're just going to pop that right in there, put a little bit of pressure so everything is nice and secure in there. From there, we're going to grab the inner wheel, and as we've already done 3 times in the past, line up the holes, put a little bit of pressure right in there so everything lines up correctly and properly, and we're going to secure that in place using 3... Oh, my actual printing's a little bit off here. It looks like CM screws? Yeah, looking at what I've got here, it, what do we got? LM, CM, yes, CM screws. Alright, so all 3 screws are in place there. After that, we just gotta grab the hubcap, and we're going to pop it right into place here. Just gotta line up the little nub on the tire, make sure, there we go. Got a nice secure fit there. And now that that's in place, all we got to do is now just put it on the Ecto. Alright, so we got the tire here. Let's go ahead and there we go. Found the sweet spot. Now all we got to do is just put 1 LM screw deep in there, screw it into place, and we got ourselves a 4th wheel here on the Ecto-1. There we go. Cool. So that is now in place. Now we're just going to cover up that screw with the center cap there. Just goes right on, pull a little pressure, and there we go, guys. 4th wheel is finally in place on the Ecto-1. So being that issue 10 is now in the bag, I thought it'd be time to give you guys a bit of an update on the overall scale of this thing. Once again, being that we now have all 4 tires on it, I mean, this is huge. And if you'd like to start building your very own Ecto-1, just like I am here, once again, we've got links right down below in that description. Click them and start your build today. You will not regret it, because let me tell you, I am absolutely loving this thing. As always, I'd recommend subscribing to Ghostbusters News here on YouTube. Be sure to bust that bell notification icon to stay up to date with everything that's happening within the Ghostbusters world. If you'd like to help out Ghostbusters News, we do have a Patreon page. Link to that can be found right down below in the description. And I will see everybody right back here next time, Ghostbusters News here on YouTube.